Iruma's Adventures in the Netherworld by MU1622, found on Wattpad, fanfiction.net, and Archive of Our Own. Chapter 37, Rimuru's Student. Iruma Point of View. Rimuru teleports us somewhere again, accompanied by the usual stomach-flipping sensation. I'm glad I'm no longer queasy, or that little jump would have been enough to tip me over the edge into vomiting. I find that we're now outside a fancy-looking door. Rimuru steps up to it and knocks politely. We wait a minute or two, but there's no response. Rimuru knocks again, this time a little louder, and we wait again. Rimuru frowns slightly, crosses her arms, tapping her foot impatiently while we wait for someone to answer the door. She lets out a sharp sigh before stepping closer and attempting to grab the attention of someone inside again. "Leon!" Rimuru calls out, accompanied by more knocking. "I know you know I'm out here, so open up!" Rimuru knocks again, this time more forcefully. I notice the door is starting to splinter slightly from the spot Rimuru's been hammering on with her fist. Rimuru? You're gonna break the..." Ignoring what I said, Rimuru gives the door one hard, frustrated knock, and the door finally gives and breaks completely, swinging violently on its hinges and slamming into the wall inside the building. "Whoops," Rimuru says, her eyes wide at what she just did by accident. Now that the door has been blown away by Rimuru's strength, two people are revealed by the now open doorway, one of them appearing like he was approaching the door to open it. His outstretched hand clenches into an angry fist as he lowers it now that the door isn't there to open any longer. "I can't believe that you just did that," I mutter, dumbfounded by what I just witnessed. "I didn't mean to break it like that," Rimuru grumbles back, looking not too happy with what she just did, but only for a moment. Rimuru quickly hides any regret with a cheesy smile and approached the blonde-haired man that's still standing silently behind the doorway. "Hey, Leon! Long time no see, buddy!" Rimuru says cheerfully, still grinning exaggeratedly at the man. Based on the man's expression, I don't think he considers Rimuru his buddy. Then suddenly, the woman with Leon springs forward, embracing Rimuru and scooping her into her arms with a little twirl to the action. "Wah!" Rimuru makes a surprised noise as her feet go airborne. "I missed you so much," she says, hugging Rimuru in her arms tighter. Rimuru appears to be blushing slightly, probably embarrassed by being picked up like that without warning. I know she was when Diablo picked her up a while back. Rimuru doesn't look mortified this time, though. "I missed you too, Chloe," Rimuru says with a warm smile and pats the woman on the head comfortingly, still being held in a princess carry by her. She set Rimuru's feet back on the ground, and the two start a conversation, leaving me and the man named Leon standing there awkwardly. He doesn't seem too happy about Rimuru having all of Chloe's attention. "Hello?" I squeak out sheepishly, greeting the man, since I don't have anyone else to talk to. I don't want to interrupt Rimuru's reunion with Chloe, since they both seem so excited to see each other. He glares at me questioningly with his cold, ice-like blue eyes, causing me to cower internally and break eye contact with him. If I was still standing next to Rimuru, I'd probably hide behind them. This man named Leon is very scary. Leon responds with a dismissive humph before returning his attention to Rimuru and Chloe. He doesn't seem to have much interest in anything else. "Rimuru," he says with a harsh, demanding tone, trying to grab Rimuru's attention. Rimuru, who had her back to him while conversing with Chloe, glances over her shoulder. "Yeah?" Rimuru asks innocently, her golden eyes peering back at Leon. "What are you doing here?" Leon asks in a voice as icy as his eyes. His face remains mostly emotionless, but I can tell he is irritated. I thought I'd just pop in for a visit. You don't mind, right, Leon? Rimuru asks with a cocky grin, seemingly amused by Leon's subtle signs of irritation. I. He starts to speak, glances at Chloe's smiling face, and stops himself. I suppose I don't mind. Good, good. I do have a valid reason, and it's not just seeing Chloe. The grin drops off Rimuru's face and turns into a determined, serious one. I need to talk with you about the upcoming Walpurgis and what you know about the new candidate Guy mentioned, among a few other things. Walpurgis? Guy? New candidate? What is Rimuru talking about? I heard multiple names I don't recognize, and I can't help but be curious. I know Rimuru hides things from me, but the way her tone changed when she brought these things up means they're probably something serious. With how expansive your intelligence network seems, I'm surprised you don't already have all the information you need, Leon responds in an aloof tone. Rimuru's eyes narrow in irritation at Leon's excuse, and the tension between them increases. I can feel it in the air, and it's stifling. Chloe doesn't seem too concerned, though, simply watching the two curiously, not intervening or commenting on their conversation. It's always good to hear from as many sources as possible. I'm sure you understand that, Rimuru says flatly, staring intently at Leon. Leon doesn't bat an eye at Rimuru's pressure-filled gaze, at least externally. He instead meets it, not breaking eye contact at all, not even blinking. I do, he replies after hesitating a moment. So, do you plan on giving me what I want then? Leon continues to match Rimuru's eyes with his own before finally closing them in defeat and nodding his head solemnly. Rimuru claps her hands together gleefully, a smile forming on her lips. Great! I'm glad we've come to an understanding, Rimuru chirps happily at her win over Leon. Leon grumbles something under his breath, not seeming too happy with what just transpired, but Rimuru doesn't pay him any mind. That was scary for a minute there. Well, I think it was just a minute. It felt like an hour while those two were just standing there, menacingly, staring each other down. They were both talking, but were standing still as statues while their eyes were locked. I have one question, though, Leon says suddenly. Oh? What? Rimuru asks, still wearing a satisfied smile. If that's your reason for visiting, why did you bring someone with you? Leon asks, pointing his finger and returning his cold gaze to me. This is Iruma, Rimuru says as he separates from Leon and returns to standing beside me. He's a friend of mine who's visiting Tempest. He wants to talk to Chloe about some stuff, so I had him tag along, Rimuru says, giving me a friendly pat on the shoulder. Chloe seems mildly surprised by this, but simply smiles at me when I glance her direction to see her reaction to what Rimuru said. We should go inside and talk then, now that everyone understands why Iruma and I are here. Yes, I would enjoy talking with someone you consider a friend, Rimuru, Chloe says happily. Rimuru grabs Leon's long sleeve and almost drags him along to go talk about that important-sounding stuff I have no clue about. Leon definitely doesn't look happy about going off with Rimuru, but he doesn't resist either, simply wearing a blank expression on his face as he's led down the hallway. Chloe and I follow closely behind, but we soon separate from the other two and enter one of the many rooms. This makes me a little nervous since I don't know this pretty lady I find myself alone with. She seems nice though, so I think I'll be all right. I kind of feel bad for Leon. First, Rimuru broke his door, then teased and intimidated him before dragging him away. Oh, it used to be a lot worse between those two. I heard the first time Rimuru met him, they almost came to blows. Really? Yes, but they get along for the most part nowadays. That was just a little game they were playing with each other. Nothing serious, Chloe says with a smile. She calls that getting along? I guess that's a way of looking at it. You're what Rimuru's been focusing his attention on while he's been gone, aren't you? I could tell by the way he's treating you. It reminds me of when he was my teacher all those years ago. "Uh, Yes, Remuru's been with me the last few months." "Let me guess, you were in some sort of danger? He wanted to protect you, or save you possibly?" "How did you know?" I asked, flabbergasted by her seeing right through me somehow. This woman seems very sharp to pick up on my situation without me telling her anything yet. "I know Rimuru very well, that's how," Chloe says with a knowing smile. I'm a little intimidated by how smart she seems, but I still want to talk to her, so I bring up the subject that I came here to ask about. "So, about you being Rimuru's student," I say, to try to start some kind of conversation with Chloe. "Oh, is that what you wanted to talk about with me?" "Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Rimuru used to be a teacher and wanted to talk with one of his students about it. Rimuru said I could talk to you since you're the only one of their students that live in Tempest." "Yes, the other four have gone off to do their own thing a long time ago. I miss them sometimes, especially Alice, but I'm still happy for them. We still exchange letters sometimes, so I know she's doing well." Chloe trails off, seemingly getting lost in her memories of her former classmates. Even though she's wearing a soft smile, I can tell by the look in her deep blue eyes that she's saddened by thinking about them. "I'm guessing you're wanting to know how Rimuru ended up being my teacher, aren't you?" I nod my head, surely curious about that. "All five of us kids were summons, all around the same age. Soon after we arrived in this world, we were told that we were bound to die within a few years and were thrown into a special class for kids in our situation. Miss Shizu was our teacher. She was strict but kind and treated us as people, not as children that didn't have long left. All the other adults looked at us with pity whenever they saw us, but Miss Shizu was different. She was almost like a surrogate mother to us. But one day she disappeared without a word. Gale saw her before she left without telling us why, but he had no clue that would be the last time he or any of us would see our beloved teacher. Some time passed with no sign of Miss Shizu. The school tried to replace her with other teachers multiple times, but none of them lasted very long. They weren't Miss Shizu, so we rejected all of them. That's when Rimuru showed up. I felt something the first time I saw him, almost like I knew he would change our fates, but I didn't understand it at the time. I went along with my classmates' rejection of the new invader, but everyone quickly changed their mind about the new teacher that didn't look any older than us," Chloe explains. "He sure talked like an old man, though, so we all quickly figured out that he just looked our age and was actually an adult," she says with a little chuckle. "Rimuru promised to save us in Miss Shizu's place, and he did. After a few months of being our teacher, he found a solution to our problem and fulfilled the promise he made. I won't go into much detail, especially since out of the five of us, my situation was more complicated. But Rimuru is an amazing person. He's done so much for me, for the people of Tempest, and the world as a whole." Chloe pauses for a moment, looking like she's pondering whether to share something with me or not. "Since it seems Rimuru has grown attached to you, I should probably warn you about one thing," Chloe says in a more serious tone. I don't say anything, but I match her gaze to show that I'm giving her my full attention. "Don't tell him I talked to you about this, but Rimuru has one weakness, and I don't want you to inadvertently cause that weakness to rear its ugly head." I gulp nervously, still staring Chloe straight in the eyes, although my instincts are telling me to look away. She's intense, reminding me of Rimuru when they get serious. "He can't tolerate losing people he cares about, particularly when he feels it's his fault they're gone. It's one of the few things that truly hurt him on a deep level. When that happens, he gets reckless, emotional, and puts himself in risky, dangerous situations to get them back." That's when I remember, when Rimuru thought I was going to return to my parents and leave them in the Netherworld behind. The hurt in Rimuru's eyes was clear until I assuaged their fears and told her I was staying. Rimuru seemed to think my potential wanting to leave was her fault too, since she apologized multiple times that night. I think it would be a bad idea to tell Chloe about that, though, since she seems so attached to Rimuru, so I hold my tongue. Oh, so you've already seen Rimuru like that then, Chloe says, knowingly, almost making me think she could read my mind or something.
How does she know?
Author's note. The reason I'm giving for Chloe being able to read Iruma like a book is her 2,000 plus years of experience making her great at reading people. Also, the fact that Iruma can't hide his feelings to save his life. He's bad at lying and acting, so it's not too hard to get what he's thinking out of just his expression. I I never said I did, I respond, trying to hide my feelings. If you say so. Just keep in mind what I said, okay? I will. I don't want to hurt Rimuru at all. I promise. I didn't think you would, so don't worry, Chloe says, patting me on the head. I slump slightly under her touch, feeling my face turn red.
Why do the women here keep doing that? It's embarrassing.
Chloe giggles when she sees my embarrassed expression. I do hope Rimuru and Leon will finish soon. I want to spend more time with Rimuru before he leaves again, Chloe says with a small pout to her lips. What are they talking about anyway? Rimuru mentioned a Walpert, whatever it's called. What's that mean? Oh, you mean Walpurgis? That's a Demon Lord banquet, a meeting between all the Demon Lords. Leon mentioned that they have a potential new member coming to their next meeting. That's probably what those two are discussing. A new Demon Lord? So does that mean Leon is a Demon Lord too, just like Rimuru? Chloe nods. That explains why he was so scary. Oh, don't let Leon scare you. He's all bark and no bite. He doesn't even mean to bark usually. Leon is really bad at expressing himself, so don't let his rough exterior bother you too much, Chloe says with a giggle. But back to what you were saying. Yes, just like Rimuru, but also no. Rimuru is a true demon lord, while Leon is a true hero, despite his title being demon lord. True hero? I'm a true hero as well, just so you know, Chloe shares. They're the counterpart to true demon lords. The demon lords being from monsters, and the true heroes from humans. So Leon is human then? Since he's a true hero? That's not exactly true, at least now. He used to be human. I wonder what happened to him to make him lose his humanity. With Rimuru, it was dying and reincarnating, but the way Chloe says it, it doesn't sound like Leon became a non human in the same way. There's a sharp knock on the door to the room we're in, and Leon and Rimuru enter without waiting for a response. Seems like their talk is done. Author's note. I'll cover Leon and Rimuru's conversation in the next chapter. And that concludes chapter 38 of Rimuru and Iruma's Adventures in the Netherworld. We will be going straight into chapter 39, like I promised last week. Well, for those of you who saw the community post, anyways. Chapter 39, Talking with Leon / Gopta's Second Chance. Rimuru point of view. Now it's just me and Leon, and I think I've annoyed him enough to squeeze some information out of him. He's always acting all stone cold with everyone short of Chloe, so shattering that icy exterior is a must if you want to get anything useful out of him. I've got a serious objective here. Get some intel on the candidate before I have to face him at Walpurgis. I don't like going in blind. Well, I'm not blind at this point. I had Sui and the team look into this person some, but they surprisingly didn't turn up much. Got a few small details about his actions, but nothing more. So, what can you tell me about this new guy? Guy didn't seem too thrilled about him from the little that he shared with me when I was informed about the upcoming Walpurgis. I asked Leon now that we're alone. I haven't met the man myself, but yes, he's a piece of work from what I've been told. Guy, especially, has had to deal with his nonsense the most. He seems to think he can lay claim to the entire ocean as his domain. Ridiculous. he replies, a twinge of annoyance in his expression. Ocean? Why ocean? He's some type of water-dwelling Majin of sorts, Leon clarifies. His name is Buliron.
Buliron, huh? Well, the ocean-dwelling part explains why Sui didn't get much intel. If the dude lives underwater, that's kinda out of his scope. I'm sure he could manage if I told him about that detail, though. He just wouldn't think to look there. I mean, I sure didn't.
This also complicates things since Argos, my surveillance system, can't easily penetrate the surface of the water. I could watch the ocean and anything that pops out of it, but if someone is moving purely underwater, monitoring them with it wouldn't really work too well. Huh, that's unique. So no land in his territory then? I ask. Well, apparently he does want that uninhabited island south of Guy's domain. But that's not the problem. Having possession of the entire ocean would make his domain larger than any of the other demon lords. He's only at the seed level, too, Leon continues. A seed level wanting to have that much territory? He must be pretty arrogant to request that, I exclaim. Exactly. That's why I expect that his personality will be troublesome. Apparently, he's been quite demanding, saying he deserves this and that. Guy is mightily annoyed and has been using me as stress relief, Leon says in a defeated tone. He's back to harassing you? Sorry, man. I know how that feels, I say comfortingly. I'm not lying. Guy, over the years, has turned a lot of the attention he used to give Leon more toward me. He knows I won't start a war or even fight him over it or anything, so he takes every opportunity he can to get all touchy-feely with me. Calls it payment for upsetting the world balance or whatever. I hate it. Leon sneers at me, not accepting my sympathy. It's your fault, you know. You leaving, along with that rule not letting him take out his temper on the newcomer, is what caused it. Guy actually managed to kiss me the last time he visited, Leon says with a small shudder, probably reliving the unpleasant experience. Oof. I'm sorry, Leon. I'm sure I'll have to deal with some of that at Walpurgis too. I hope so, Leon mutters under his breath. I glare at him, not too happy that he's wishing that hellish experience on me, but I decide to let that little comment slide. So, back to the matter at hand. How upset is Guy right now? He didn't sound happy when we talked. He's not happy at all. I haven't seen him so upset since he found out you recruited 4 of the primordials. Although, my sample size is the smallest out of all of us, since we don't count you. That's really bad, I reply, a little shocked by how pissed off Guy is by this person. I never had much interest in the ocean surrounding the continent. Tempest is pretty much landlocked for one, and the thing is full of A-ranked monsters. It's flat out not worth it to travel by ship in this world, at least in the ocean. We have airship tech that I, borrowed from the Empire, so why travel by water? This makes the newcomer taking all that territory not very consequential to me or my country, but the implications of his character, based on him wanting such a thing, is what worries me. I can get why Guy is pissed, too, since his territory is surrounded by the ocean. The same applies to Leon, although he probably doesn't care. Leon doesn't care about much outside of Chloe, and his country, El Dorado, is mostly self-sufficient. Leon also tends to keep his nose out of politics unless they directly affect him. So if the new Demon Lord is a reasonable person, I can't see him objecting to them joining. He sure didn't care when I took Layman's seat, saying that he didn't care about any new Demon Lords. But based on what's been said, I don't think Leon will be as uncaring about this dude joining the heptagram. I was one thing. I may have acted a little arrogant to hide how nervous I was at my first Walpurgis, but I wasn't demanding rights to territory and harassing the seated demon lords there, except for when I threatened to punch Leon in the face.
Well, I had already claimed part of the Jura forest, but that was with the permission of the Dryads. I didn't demand it to Guy's face. Hell, he gave it to me. I didn't even need to ask.
Have you talked with any of the others about what they think of this newcomer? I ask.
No, I haven't bothered. I can already tell this one will be purged, Leon states, as if it's the most obvious thing in the world. So you're certain that they won't be allowed to join? For all we know, he might have made some deals with the others to gain their favor. Not everyone bribes the others like you do, Rimuru. I doubt someone as prideful as he seems would bother to do that. If I were to guess, this one wants to challenge a seated demon lord, rather than convincing the majority of their worth. Leon responds casually, acting like he didn't just accuse me of bribery.
Just because I like giving people gifts doesn't mean I like bribing them, Leon, I retort, keeping my tone level to hide my annoyance.
Call it what you want.
Back to the subject of them challenging us. I hope it doesn't come to that again. What would this be? The fourth time we've had someone try that since the purging rule was implemented? It's never worked out for them. We all know a seed can't survive against any of us in serious combat.
That's a certainty. But if they aren't smart enough to realize that, I don't care if they die of the results of their foolishness, Leon responds in his normal, cool tone. I nod my head in agreement. As cold as it sounds, Leon is right here. I don't like seeing people die without reason, but if someone is idiotic enough to challenge an awakened demon lord without the power necessary to do so, even after being given the chance to join us peacefully, they're asking to die, in my opinion. I'd like to gain a few more members to the heptagram, maybe get us back up to an even 10, but with the poor quality in the candidates over the last couple decades, that hasn't been possible. In my eyes, it's not as much a matter of power, but a matter of character. If you don't necessarily have tons of raw power, but a good head on your shoulders, I'll vote for you to join. A candidate, of course, has to have reached a Demon Lord seed level to even be eligible, so they're bound to be relatively strong by the standards of the everyday person. That's enough for me to be cool with them being a member. Leon and I talk for a while longer about various things. Nothing too important. After our casual conversation is finished, I decide that it's about time to get back to Iruma. I'm sure that he's had enough time to talk with Chloe. Leon's itching to be reunited with her too, so dragging this out any longer will just piss him off, and I've done enough of that already today. Pushing Leon's buttons is fun, but there's such a thing as too far. The two of us track down the others easily, and I take Iruma back to Tempest with me using spiritual domination. I asked Chloe if she wanted to come too, but she said that she still had some stuff she promised to do with Leon. Chloe looked a little torn when she said that, but I assured her that I would be visiting again in just 1 week since I have Walpurgis to attend. Iruma point of view. Once Rimuru and I teleported back to Tempest, she tracked down Gobta once again, since she has more business to attend that she doesn't think I need to participate in. When I asked why she was leaving me with him again after the whole spending her money without permission stuff, she said, "I'm giving him another chance to behave himself. If Gobta avoids doing shit like that today, I'll lessen the punishment I have planned for him. If he does get in trouble again, I'll do the opposite." Gobta has no clue he's already been caught, and Rimuru told me not to tell him she found out already. This is a test for him, in a sense. I just hope he passes it. I like Gobta. He seems like a very fun person to be around. The last thing I want is for him to get in some kind of harsh punishment for being a little impulsive. Well, whatever. It's not really my problem. Rimuru hinted that I shouldn't intervene if Gobta tries to do something stupid with me again, as long as it isn't something that'd put me in danger. She's testing him, so if I intervened, that would be helping Gobta cheat in a sense. Gobta decided to show me around some more, this time in an area of town we didn't get to explore yesterday. This place is impressively large, so there's no way he could show me everything in 1 day. He seems to know all the good places, though. "I've seen this place grow from ground up, so of course I know the hot spots in Tempest," he exclaimed proudly when I brought that up. He always seems to act like he's trying to impress me. Or is he just bragging? I'm not sure, honestly. Maybe it has to do with the fact I'm Rimuru's guest here, so getting on my good side would earn their favor or something. That kind of contradicts his choice to do something he shouldn't by spending Rimuru's money yesterday. Yesterday, it almost feels like he was trying to spoil me, taking me around town to all the best places, selling snacks and stuff. It didn't take long for him to figure out how much I love to eat, and Gapta sure took advantage of that if he was trying to get on my good side, and he succeeded. Despite not knowing him for long, I feel like we're already friends. It's not just because he bribed me with food, though. This time, he brought me to an ice cream shop. He bought me a large 4-scoop cone and picked a flavor out for me since he said he knew what one was the best. I didn't mind. Gapta said it was called Tempest Blue and is a favorite around here. It's similar in color to Rimuru's slime form's color. That's something I noticed around here. There are a lot of things that seem to be themed around her and her slime body in particular. Rimuru's almost like a mascot, it seems. It's a little weird, but also kind of endearing. When Gapta went to pay, I didn't catch whether he made the same mistake as he did yesterday because I got distracted by something odder than Tempest's strange obsession with Rimuru. A small, blonde-haired fairy, excitedly plunging her entire head into a normal-sized ice cream cone being held by... Wait, isn't that Veldora? It's so good! The fairy squeals delightedly through a mouth still filled with ice cream before plunging her face inside again. Veldora notices my presence. Oh, if it isn't Iruma! How are you liking my little brother's country so far? Pretty great place, right? Veldora asks, followed by his usual loud laughing and him taking a bite of the other ice cream in his second hand. I thought Rimuru said you had work to do in the labyrinth. What are you doing in an ice cream shop, Veldora? I ask, worried that Rimuru might get mad at him for skipping out on his job. The ice cream-covered fairy then flits over so she's positioned a foot or so in front of my face. That's not a problem since I'm here with him, she says confidently, grinning widely and posing midair with her hands on her hips. Huh? I make a confused sound, wondering who the heck she is. I'm Demon Lord Ramirez of the Labyrinth, member of the Heptagram and creator of the Master of Tempest's Labyrinth. If I say he can take a break for his job, he can, she announces. Ramirez is still absolutely covered in ice cream, but that doesn't seem to stop her from flaunting her title and acting confident. Suddenly, I feel something cold drip onto my hand and realize that my ice cream is melting. I feel stupid that I let it make a mess all over me while I was gawking. I quickly take a lick of it to stop it from dripping more. I can't quite make out what the flavor is supposed to be, but whatever it is, it's tasty. Once that little crisis is averted, I finally process what the fairy just said. She's a demon lord? She sure doesn't look like one. Wait, neither does Rimuru most of the time. I really need to stop being surprised by stuff like this. Oh, you're here too, Lord Veldora and Lady Ramirez, Gapta asks as he takes a lick of his own cone. Ah, Gapta, is Rimuru making you show this boy around? Veldora asks Gapta. Gapta nods and takes another lick. So, you're a demon lord, just like Rimuru is? I ask Ramirez. That's right. Who are you anyway? I don't think I've seen you around before. This is Rimuru's friend, Ramirez. He's the kid Rimuru's been hanging out with while on vacation, Veldora explains in his usual boisterous manner. This kid? Why, though? He just looks like a normal human to me. Why would Rimuru be interested in him? Rimuru asked Veldora quizzically. That's a little rude, but I can't say she's wrong. I still don't completely understand why Rimuru seems to like me so much, even though she tried to explain a couple times. You know how my little brother is. Rimuru's got some weird tastes and ideas in that slimy little head of his, Veldora responds to Ramirez. That's true. Well, whatever. Have you visited my labyrinth yet? It's one of Tempest's biggest attractions, Ramirez says, returning her attention to me. No, I've definitely heard about it, though. What's it for, anyway? I've been curious about it for a while. Wait, nobody told you? Gapta asks. It's got a lot of purposes, actually. Great place to train since you can't die in there. Well, you can, but only if you're stupid enough to go in without a resurrection bracelet. Yeah, we've had some of those in the past. I try not to let that happen, though, Ramirez says, looking off to the side as if recalling something. So, do you want to check it out? It's a lot of fun. Lord Rimuru said nothing dangerous, so I don't think the labyrinth's the best place to take Iruma, especially the public part. That's not something he'd be able to handle, Gobta responds. It's not dangerous, Ramirez insists. Yeah, but I get the feeling that he doesn't know how to fight monsters, Gobta responds. You're right, Gobta. I don't know how, I say, a little shamefully. See? He'd probably freak out when his arm gets chopped off or something. Even if Iruma would be alright in the end, I don't want him traumatized. Lord Rimuru wouldn't be happy if that happened, Gobta says casually. Arm chopped off? I ask, completely shocked. If it involves stuff like that, I want nothing to do with it. Uh-huh. Anything can happen in there. You're perfectly fine when you leave, and pain suppressed so you don't feel injuries as much. But I don't think you want to watch that happen to your body, do you? Gobta asks, still talking as if this stuff is normal. I shake my head no vigorously. His body doesn't seem very strong either, Ramirez says as she flies around me in circles, looking at me from every angle. Maybe we could have him use an avatar core then. Veldora mutters to himself. You'll have to ask Rimuru about that, not me. You know I can't make those easily without his help. Yeah, Veldora says, still seeming lost in thought. It's all right. I have some other stuff planned today for him, so maybe another time he can go there, Gobta says. I finish off my ice cream cone with a crunch, and Gobta does the same and stands up. We should probably get going. I'm not sure when Lord Rimuru will be around to pick you up, so we should hurry, Gobta says, glancing out the window of the shop. Half the day has already passed, so I agree. We need to leave if Gobta has something planned. I'm surprised he's thinking that far ahead. He doesn't seem like the planning type to me. We go back inside, leaving Veldora and Ramirez to finish their ice cream without us. I'm not sure how Ramirez will finish hers, since it's larger than she is. But whatever. She's a demon lord, so anything's possible. We start walking down the street when suddenly Gobta stops. He starts sweating and his eyes dart around our surroundings desperately before focusing on a nearby alley. Oh no, he says, before grabbing my arm and dragging me into the alley he spotted. He pins himself against the wall and starts breathing heavily with a terrified look on his face. Not knowing what kind of danger we're in, I mimic his actions. What's wrong? I whisper as quietly as possible. But before Gobta can even open his mouth to respond, someone appears right in front of us. So you have decided to skip out on drills 2 days in a row, then? An old man with 2 small white horns says ominously while staring down at Gobta. Gobta smiles nervously before responding. Master Hakuro, I'm following Lord Rimuru's orders right now. He told me to show this guy around Tempest. He's a special guest, Gobta explains, pointing to me. So much for being ignored. I give him a nervous smile and wave. Is that so? Even so, I distinctly remember hearing that you were napping during the drills yesterday before leaving with Lord Rimuru, and I doubt he would order you to do that as well, the man says as he seems to ponder what Gobta says, but I get the feeling he's not gonna let Gobta escape. It seems you may need a private lesson, the man says in a way that makes me think this private lesson is some kind of punishment. Gobta gulps nervously while matching the man's gaze. If you have something else you need to do, I can just tag along with you, Gobta, I say nervously, trying to avoid having this scary old dude get mad at me too. Gobta gives me a horrified look as if I just betrayed him. Sorry, Gobta, but you were slacking off yesterday. He isn't wrong. Oh ho, so you want to observe? Or do you want to join my pupil here in his training? Hakuro asks, hints of surprise on his face. What kind of training? I ask. In the art of the sword, of course, Hakuro says with a smile. Sword? I ask excitedly. Master, this kid has no combat experience. I don't think he should. Gapta isn't able to finish, since Hakuro quickly interrupts him. Yes, I can tell that just by looking at the way he carries himself. I am sure I can find him a spot in the beginner's class while we're busy. I've watched Rimuru fight with a sword a few times, and I always thought it was cool. I wouldn't mind giving it a try as long as it's just a beginner's course. Sure, why not? I say with a nod, getting a little excited to try something like that. Hakuro grins at my answer, and Gapta looks down at his feet, defeatedly. And that concludes Chapter 39 of Rimuru and Iruma's Adventures in the Netherworld. I hope you enjoyed, my lovelies. These 2 chapters were kind of short again, and since I missed last week due to being sick, I thought I'd combine them into one as a nice little treat. Though, sorry it's going to come out just a little bit late this morning. I'm recording the morning of instead of doing it beforehand, as I still have a cough and was trying my darndest to wait as long as possible to recover. If any of it sounds funky, blame my stuffy nose. Sorry. Bye, my lovelies, and see you next week.